What if a narrow strip of water, barely 21 miles wide, could decide the fate of the global economy overnight? A place where a single mistake could send oil prices skyrocketing, trigger international conflict, and shake the world. This is the Strait of Hormuz. A tiny passage with massive power. Located between Iran and Oman, the Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. At first glance, it doesn't seem extraordinary. But in reality, it is one of the most strategically important waterways on Earth. Why? Because nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow channel every single day. That's millions of barrels of oil, fueling cars, powering industries, and sustaining economies across the globe. The lifeline of global energy. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates depend heavily on the strait to export oil. Without it, their ability to sell energy to the world would be severely limited. And for countries that import oil, like the United States, China, and many nations in Europe, the strait is a critical supply route. If it closes, the impact is immediate. Oil prices surge. Markets panic. Economies tremble. A history of tension, the Strait of Hormuz has long been a hotspot for geopolitical tension. Its location, right next to Iran, makes it highly sensitive. Over the years, there have been multiple incidents involving tanker attacks, military standoffs, and threats to block the waterway. During times of conflict, the strait becomes a focal point of global attention. Because control over it means control over energy. The power of geography. Despite its importance, the strait is incredibly narrow. Shipping lanes in each direction are only about 2 miles wide. This creates a bottleneck, a place where massive oil tankers must pass through a tight corridor. And that makes it vulnerable. A single blocked ship, a military confrontation, or even a small disruption can affect global supply. In such a critical location, even minor events can have major consequences. The United States Navy regularly patrols the area, ensuring freedom of navigation and stability. At the same time, Iran has significant influence over the northern side of the strait and has repeatedly warned that it could restrict access if tensions rise. This creates a delicate balance of power, one that must be managed carefully to avoid escalation. The risk of closure. One of the biggest fears surrounding the Strait of Hormuz is the possibility of closure. If the strait were blocked, even temporarily, it would disrupt a major portion of the world's oil supply. This could lead to sharp increases in fuel prices, global inflation, economic instability, potential conflict between nations. Even the threat of closure is enough to move markets. That's how powerful this narrow passage truly is. Alternatives and their limits. Some have tried to reduce the reliance on the strait by building pipelines and alternative routes. For example, Saudi Arabia and the UAE have pipelines that bypass the strait, allowing them to export oil through other ports. But these alternatives have limited capacity. For now, the world remains heavily dependent on this single choke point. The global impact. The importance of the strait goes far beyond the Middle East. It affects gas prices in the United States, manufacturing costs in Europe, and economic growth in Asia. In a globalized world, energy is the foundation of everything. And the Strait of Hormuz is one of its most critical gateways. The Strait of Hormuz represents something bigger than just oil, a symbol of modern fragility. It shows how interconnected and fragile the modern world really is. A narrow strip of water, controlled by geography and politics, has the power to influence billions of lives. It's a reminder that even in a world of advanced technology, some of the most important forces are still shaped by simple geography. The future of the strait. As the world moves toward renewable energy, the importance of oil may eventually decline. But for now, the Strait of Hormuz remains a central piece of the global energy puzzle. Tensions in the region continue, and the balance of power remains delicate. The question is not just whether the strait will remain open, but how long the world can rely on such a vulnerable system. Next time you fill up your car or see fuel prices rise, remember this. Somewhere between Iran and Oman, in a narrow strip of water, ships are carrying the energy that powers your life. And in that small space, the stability of the entire world hangs in the balance.